Well, good evening and welcome to Channel 8 Sports and East Brunswick High School boys basketball. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, being joined by Jim Allinder tonight for a big matchup for East Brunswick and St. Joe's. And Jimmy, East Brunswick comes in 9-3.
Absolutely, and you're right in that this is a big matchup. I would say it's a fair statement to make that of all the teams on East Brunswick's regular season schedule, St. Joseph's of Metuchen is the team they most like to beat. That's because there's a major league rivalry between these two teams. I'm not sure that any of the players on St. Joe's come from East Brunswick, but that has been the case in the past.
Yep.
And St. Joe's is coached by an old friend of ours, John Smogy.
That's right, yeah.
Which makes it interesting because John used to coach St. Peter's. He's a well-known figure in this area.
Well, sure.
But as far as tonight's game is concerned, it's kind of pivotal for East Brunswick. They're 9-3, but they're at the point, as Coach Bo Henning is saying, that they have to start doing things better than looking to improve. They have to be starting to gearing themselves for the GMC tournament, which is later on in February, and of course the states, which are going to be after that. He's not quite sure how his team is going to be prepared. He's making some switches. Varnell Johnson used to be the starting point guard. That's going to be split between R.J. Davis and Pete Forte at the point.
Right.
And Dave Ferdig is not going to be the point guard. They would like to move him over to number 2 guard so that he can be a shooter and concentrate on his outside shooting ability. If that does not work, then Ferdig is, and if they can't handle the pressure that St. Joe's applies, then they're going to have to switch him around, put Ferdig back to the point. There's going to be some tough going underneath with Beck at center. Josh Weststraight is another one. That's it from East Brunswick's side. From St. Joe, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, as we move over to St. Joe's.
Yeah.
7-2. You mentioned John Smogy. I think the other thing, too, is this St. Joe's team blew out East Brunswick the first game of the season.
Well, it wasn't exactly a blowout, but it was a game in which St. Joe's won at their court, which is a hard place to play. But two important factors that are different about this game. Probably the two top players on the team, Jim Feeney and Reed Jackson, will not be available tonight. Jackson is suffering from a severe ankle injury, and Jim Feeney is still recovering from chicken pox. He's not at full strength, so they're both scratched tonight.
Okay.
And so St. Joe's is going to have to be doing it with other people. But let's not cry tears for these guys because they held Perth Amboy to, I guess it was a 3-point deficit loss. And Perth Amboy was undefeated up until last night when they lost to St. Peter's, New Brunswick. They're a well-coached team. They come at you with a number of different schemes, defenses, offenses. That's a classic John Smogy team.
Yes, right.
And East Brunswick's going to have all it can to try and pull this one out. They're going to need it tonight. This is a pivotal game.
Well, it's a big one in the GMC, and we'll be back with the start of the action, East Brunswick and St. Joe's, in just a moment. Okay, you see Coach Bo Henning as he tries to get his team ready for tonight's action against St. Joe's, the Falcons. Starters for East Brunswick will be Ferdig, number 24, Weststraight, number 44, Reisner, number 20, Raxa, number 34, and Davis, number 23. For St. Joe's, it'll be Buckley, 54, Price, 40, Driscoll, 3, Holzman, 44, and Powell, number 42. Again, East Brunswick comes in 9-3, St. Joe's 7-2. The first time these two teams met, the first game of the season, it was St. Joe's 62, East Brunswick 41.
There was a little bit of a mix-up in the starting lineups. I think John Smogy had decided on a lineup that was a little bit different than what was announced, and that needs to be cleared up right now before we get underway.
Is that, do you have to start the ones announced? Apparently it must be that kind of problem because Smogy is complaining. And now the referee talking to Bo Henning. And apparently what is called, that player has to go out and play. I don't know for how long.
All right, the discussion is going between Smogy and Henning, and Bo, I don't think really cares. He just wants them to be informed as to what's going on.
Well, apparently they're going to go with the team that is announced, and they'll get their player up, and I believe that's Victor Blue, number 14. He'll probably come in rather soon in the game. But here we go. St. Joe's and East Brunswick, and already it starts off with a little controversy.
Good crowd.
And St. Joe's will take control. St. Joe's in the white, East Brunswick in the home green. This is Driscoll with the ball.
And as we mentioned, this team, despite the absence of Feeney and Jackson, played tough against Perth Amboy, dropping the game only by 3 points. So this is a quality team that East Brunswick is going to have to go after.
Jim, you're right. Nice crowd on hand for this one. And as we mentioned in the pregame, this is a big rivalry, has been for years. St. Joe's moving the ball around, looking for the opening.
Very patient. And East Brunswick traps now.
Ball won't go for Price, and it's off St. Joe's, so it'll go East Brunswick's way.
Now East Brunswick opened up in a 3-2 zone, and St. Joe's was very patient in getting the right shot they wanted. Didn't fall. Now you will see a press here by St. Joe's.
As we call, Victor Blue comes in immediately now. So he was the player they wanted in originally.
And Davis is the one bringing up the ball, John.
Davis to Reisner, looking underneath.
Reisner, leading three-point shooter for East Brunswick this year, 15 on the season.
East Brunswick moving quite well. Fertig, three-pointer, won't go. And the Falcons on the break.
They all like to press if they can.
Off Blue, it'll go back to the Bears.
Excuse me, they would like to push it up fast. Both teams are up-tempo, but I have to think that East Brunswick is going to try to be patient to break this press.
Both teams match up well. Neither team showing any great deal of an advantage in terms of size or height. Again, the trap. Reisner's hit by Driscoll, and the foul will be called.
No score yet, John. Minute and a half played.
From the side, Reisner will bring it in to Davis. Bohannon calling for motion. He wants everyone moving around. Looking underneath for Westrate, won't go. Blocked by Davis.
Well, they were looking for the opening underneath, and it wasn't there. And you got to be careful not to force that. East Brunswick pressing.
Blue bringing it up for St. Joe's. East Brunswick playing a zone. Blue will take the shot from the outside, off the rim. Fertig on the bound, gets it down to Reisner, intercepted.
Yeah, Buckley was there to pick that ball off.
No score. First period action from East Brunswick High School. Now St. Joe's will pull it out a little bit, slow it down. 5:45 left in the period.
Both teams a little bit tense. East Brunswick shifts over on that zone. That's going to be short.
That's an air ball. Westrate on the rebound to Fertig. Knocked away by St. Joe's.
And East Brunswick is caught here.
Blue underneath. Off the rim. Rebound. Ratska stolen by Blue. He's fouled by Westrate.
St. Joe's, the more opportunistic team here, able to get the errant rebounds.
So Blue will go to the line. He'll shoot 2. Looking for the first points of the evening. And St. Joe's gets on the board. Two nothing, the Falcons.
One thing you'll find about Smogy teams, they're well coached.
Reisner slips, has trouble. Fertig picks it up. Yes! We're tied at 2.
Tough shot. He really wasn't set. He was hanging in as he let the shot off. And they're going to call a block.
Reisner, first foul for him.
One thing I found with high school officials, they like to blow the whistle a lot. I mean, that easily could have been a non-call, really. It just let them play. It was very little contact, and that's just something that happens that I disagree with.
Or they let it go too long and it gets too rough out there. But
sure, there should be a balance.
Blue, not afraid to put it up.
St. Joe's with the board control.
St. Joe's off on the shooting, and it'll go out of bounds. It'll go to, they're calling St. Joe's ball.
Well, apparently the official felt it went off a East Brunswick player.
We're tied at 2, 4:35, first period.
And we could have a low-scoring game here tonight. Defense seems to be the major thrust for each team.
Buckley, three-pointer. Blue saves it.
It was a nice play by Blue. He boxed out his man and got the board.
He'll take the shot. Short. Fertig picks it up, and East Brunswick will push it up. Looking underneath for Raska, won't go.
Wasn't there. Once again, it's a turnover off the push inside.
.350 left here, first period. Buckley drives, gets it back out to Driscoll, fakes one, sends it over to, I believe that was Price who hit.
Price hit.
4-2, St. Joe's. West Straight in the corner to Raska. He'll drive, put it up. Yes, tied at 4.
And it's good to hear from Andy tonight. I think he's going to be an important player for the Bears.
Davis on Driscoll. Well, Powell underneath.
Wasn't expecting that pass.
Saved by St. Joe's. They'll keep it alive. 2:50 left here in the first period.
Driscoll doing a nice job of quarterbacking this club.
Still tied at 4. Blue again. Well, from that spot, he hits this time. Cross to Fertig. Take a step inside the white and put it up.
Boy, and I'll tell you, the Bears are going to need some scoring from Dave.
There's Powell off the glass.
And they're
going to charge.
Yeah, a charge before the shot, so that does not count.
Nice play by Raska, establishing position. It's 6-4, St. Joe's.
Boy, I'll tell you what, this press hasn't caused a turnover yet, but
West Straight inside to Raska, who goes along the baseline and is fouled.
Good penetration by Andy.
Foul is on Price. His first. 2:09 remaining, and we're at a 6-4 situation here in terms of points. St. Joe's by 2, but Raska can tie it up here. Makes the first. Substitution for St. Joe's. Len Florick. Second one won't go, and it's pulled down by St. Joe's. 6-5 is our score. Buckley by himself has trouble holding on to the ball.
And the official from the far side makes the traveling call. And they drop off, St. Joe's does, from the press. 2 minutes left in the quarter, John, so I think Smoji recognizing with 3 team fouls that he doesn't want to get into that one-on-one situation.
Davis setting up the play. Fertig looking for some help, gets it out to West Straight. Back to Fertig. 1:35 left in the period. Davis inside, looking for Fertig, and he's fouled. They call on a jump ball.
And it stays to East Brunswick.
Johnson will come in, number 50.
Cornell Johnson.
And Reisner will take a break.
Reisner not really in the game. He doesn't seem to be in it.
He may be hurting. Out to Davis, trying to set something up.
And East Brunswick looking for somebody to shoot. Nobody seems to want to put it up. Oh, we're under a minute, John. It's only 6-5.
There it goes. Nice give and go. Won't go for Fertig. Tap in won't move.
Johnson somehow gets a hold of it.
And it comes back to East Brunswick with 55 seconds. So good hustle by the Bears. 6-5 is our score. And that in itself is a little surprising. Cross court. Fertig, three-pointer.
Yes.
Hits. And the Bears jump on top 8-6 with 35 seconds.
You see pressure being applied. East Brunswick has to watch it, though, because somebody's going to be open underneath.
Driscoll, he's the playmaker for the Falcons. Blue, three-pointer, hits.
So Victor Blue is somebody that they're going to have to be concerned about.
9-8 is their score, 8 seconds. Raska won't go. Johnson steps in there and finally gets to Fertig at the buzzer. So at the end of one period, it's East Brunswick 8, St. Joe's 9.
And a back and forth quarter with a close score. Neither team able to break double points.
Are you surprised, Jim, by the type of play we're seeing?
Well, I think it's the indicative of the defensive intensity of the contest. Both teams like to press up tempo. A couple of turnovers. East Brunswick just was not getting the rebounds the way they wanted to. And, I think things can change in that regard. Andy Raska was able to, let's see, Dave Fertig had a three-pointer and a two-pointer. You see Bo Henning, as he usually is, mapping out his plans. And I think he is probably more concerned with the offensive output of East Brunswick this time. The Bears are really uncomfortable. They tried to force it underneath a couple times. Didn't work. And all their points have come from the outside except for the foul shots.
Well, you've got to think East Brunswick wanted to come out aggressive and establish their territory. Particularly, it's their home court with the St. Joe's team. They want to keep this game close. Particularly when you have a guy like Fertig who can put him up, and he's a streak shooter, and if he gets hot, that will be important. So St. Joe's will start off this second period. They lead by 1, 9-8. That's Floric with the ball, out to Buckley.
Falcons patient as ever. And you can bet that blue is going to be more important to East Brunswick.
Price inside to Powell. Off the glass. Make it 11-8. St. Joe's by 3. Davis real quick. Fertig, three-pointer. Just short.
And East Brunswick needs to get that rebound. They have absolutely no second shots.
Price to Buckley to Blue. And foul, then the basket's good.
Westrate.
Beck will come in. He'll give Westrate a break. Reisner back in, and Forte will come in. So East Brunswick putting some fresh bodies in the lineup.
And so is St. Joe's, as a matter of fact. They do a lot of substituting. That's a trademark of Smoji.
And Blue will finally get a chance to shoot this.
So you see 35, Pete Forte, enter the game. He's another one that was going to be used tonight.
Blue misses on the three-point. So it's 13-8, and Forte will bring it up. To Johnson. Reisner, he's not afraid to put it up.
Yeah,
Short.
but he wasn't set, though.
St. Joe slowing it down a little bit. Off Buckley, go over to the Bears.
East Brunswick with a team out there with 3 juniors and 2 sophomores, John.
Could be looking at next year's starting lineup here. 6:25 left before half. St. Joe's on top 13-8. Forte over to Johnson. Johnson drives, takes the shot, long.
Uncontrolled.
Blue.
And positioning on that rebound.
Powell, but pulled down by Ratska. Forte will bring it up. Nice play by Floric. Knock it away. Fertig will come back in. He'll take Johnson's spot.
And let's see how this combination works. Beck brought in, he needs to be a little bit more aggressive on the boards.
Forte, a little strong. They'll call it a jump. I think it'll go over to St. Joe's.
No, St. Joe's inbounded to start the second quarter, so possessions to East Brunswick.
You're right, Jim.
And East Brunswick needs to get some points here.
Our score is 13-8. 5:39 left in the second period.
Falcons have that 5-point lead, and it's East Brunswick obviously bothered by this zone.
Beck missed the opportunity for Reisner cutting. There is Reisner on the outside, sets and shoots, hits. That's what they needed.
That's Mike's first points tonight.
13-11, East Brunswick by 2.
You know, it's tough just getting these 3-point shots. That's the type of defense that's being played.
That is East Brunswick trailing by 2. Inside to Powell, out to Buckley.
Good feed.
Buckley not enough on it as Raska pulls it down, and he'll give it back to Forte.
I like the way Forte is controlling the tempo for East Brunswick.
Reisner again. Too strong this time. Nice play by Blue. St. Joe's brings it up quickly. Floric in the corner to Driscoll, underneath to Buckley. No good, Beck rebounds. Forte bringing it up quickly. Looking for some help. Raska to Reisner, to Fertig. Looks underneath for Beck, and they're gonna call a foul on Powell.
His second. Probably see him sit.
East Brunswick will have it under its own basket.
4th team foul for St. Joe, so the next one is a 1-on-1 situation.
4:20 left here, second period. East Brunswick trails by a bucket, 13-11. Forte, Beck. Fertig, 3-point attempt. In and out. Buckley on the rebound to Driscoll.
You know, the opportunities are going to come so far and few between tonight that East Brunswick's going to have to convert at least 50% of the time on those 3-point shots.
Nice pass.
Very nice.
Price hits it. 15-11 is our score. St. Joe's by 4. 3:40 left. Forte.
A rather unorthodox shot, but it goes in nonetheless.
15-13. The Falcons by 2. Turnover. Oh, they're saying East Brunswick touched it.
Yeah, it was a tip. That's why it went high.
Davis will come in. Forte will take a break.
Nice job by Pete. He was somewhat of a stabilizing influence in there.
Blue. This is Davis bringing it up quickly. Blue showing a little too much on that last shot. To Reisner.
Blue is sticking to Reisner like glue tonight. Dave, leading scorer with a 16.3 average. Excuse me, Mike.
East Brunswick inbounds. Davis, left-handed. Yes.
Nice shot.
2-pointer. We're tied at 15 with 2:47.
All right, important that East Brunswick came back and tied.
And they're going to call Davis on the foul.
It was a little tense there for a while. The score, I think, was 15 to 8, was it, or 9?
15-11.
Okay. So that's a 4th team foul. They call that on Davis?
Yes.
Okay.
So both teams, I would not think shooting at a high percentage.
Well, I think it's indicative of the defense that's played. You know, the zones are forcing outside shots, and you just don't get the percentages.
Blue inside to Powell, out to Price. They want Powell or Blue to really touch the ball.
I'm surprised that Powell's still in there. He has 2 fouls, and you just don't want him to pick up that 3rd foul with the first half not completed.
Reisner off the rim. Here comes Blue quickly. And he just runs into Fertig, and they're going to call Fertig for the foul.
Right, and now the 1-on-1 is in effect. Fertig picks up his first foul.
2:05 remaining in the period. First period, it was St. Joe's by 1, 9-8. So as you can see, not much scoring in this game. And we're tied at 15 with Blue going to the line. He'll get the other. Blue makes it 17-15 St. Joe's.
Press being applied.
Davis goes right down to the paint, dumps it off to Reisner, who hits.
And that was a nice play by R.J. Davis. He penetrated just enough to give Reisner the room that he needed to make that shot.
Tied at 17 with 1:42 left before halftime.
I don't think the crowd's quite into this game yet, John. It's they're sort of observing this.
Yeah.
Maybe in the second half this will change.
Nice play by Fertig, but Driscoll right there for St. Joe's.
And St. Joe's is cross-courting on their passes.
Blue. Beck with the rebound. Davis to Reisner. He'll take it, pump it, won't go. Beck. And that's what they need from him.
Well, what they needed was for him to get that rebound, but Powell just has a great talent for getting position underneath.
They're calling it a jump. And it'll go to St. Joe's. Blue.
Well, traveling could have been called on that.
Blue goes down inside a minute with Davis. Too much. Rask on the follow-up.
Big rebound.
19-17, East Brunswick takes the lead.
Really, that's the first 2 points East Brunswick has off an offensive board. Good steal by Davis.
Fertig.
2-on-1.
He'll take it himself. Off the window, won't go.
Oh, that was a two-pointer they wanted.
Try to finesse it.
Dave not having a great game.
27 seconds left before halftime.
And it looks like St. Joe's is going to hold for one.
Price. Looking inside, Davis knocks it down.
3 seconds.
Shot by Buckley. That'll do it. So at the end of the half, East Brunswick goes in the locker room with a 2-point lead, 19-17.
And I'm sure they would have liked to had a 4-point margin with Fertig missing that layup, but they'll take it nonetheless. You got to like the way things turned around for East Brunswick. I think what did it was that they up-tempoed a little bit more, and that was enough to cause a few problems for them. So still anybody's game.
Still anybody's game. It's a good game. It's a defensive battle, and I'm sure Bo Henning is quite pleased. He'll go in and talk to his young men, as will John Samoji, come out for this second half, and when they do, we'll be back with the action. Well, halftime here at the East Brunswick St. Joe's game, there will be an awards ceremony. And each year for the last 6 years, the basketball staff, and that is Pat Peters and Bo Henning, in conjunction with the athletic department and with the cooperation of the phys ed teachers in the school district, they run a foul shooting contest for both boys and girls. And tonight the awards will be presented by athletic director Frank Knoppenberger and assistant boys basketball coach Keith Lane. And we will announce those winners to you. We're not sure if the young people are all here, but those winners are Scott Linsky, Ellen Pollock, Steve Dzubik, Bill Varela, Ron Rosenstrauss, Lance Stadler, I think it's Kay Seymour, John Pearson, and Matt Dunbart. And as we said, this is a program run by the East Brunswick High School Athletic Department in conjunction with the phys ed teachers within the district. It's for both boys and girls. And every year for the last 6 years, the winners of this contest have been provided with a nice trophy, and a trophy that you saw on our screen. You can see the young men down there on your screen now. I don't know if that's all of them, as I said, but they are the winners. And my understanding is that Scott Lansky and it's Evan Evan Pollock are not here tonight. And there you see the other winners as they go out to accept their trophies from athletic director Frank Knoppenberg. It's certainly a nice reward for these young people. It promotes the game of basketball, and it gets the young people in the district involved and hopefully interested in the sport. And we'll have the second half action for you in just a moment. Well, here we go, getting ready for the second half now here at East Brunswick High School. The Bears on top 19-17. And Jim, what do you have for us in terms of stats?
Well, pretty evenly distributed as the players go on the court. Raska has 5 points. Fertig has 5 points. Reisner has 5 points. And R.J. Davis has 2, and Pete Forte has 2. Victor Blue has 11 points for St. Joe's, so he leads the scoring. Price has 4, and Greg Powell has the other 2-pointer. East Brunswick will inbounds, John, since they get the possession from last quarter. Okay, the Bears will bring it up. They'll get it going here to start the second half off. They're in the green. St. Joe's in the white. East Brunswick by 2. That's Ratska. And each possession, believe it or not, even at this opening of the third quarter, is going to be important. I don't think the possessions are going to be as plentiful as you would in an up-and-down game. Andy, short. On the line was Powell, so it'll go over to East Brunswick under their own basket. Well, let's see what adjustments that Henning made at halftime to see if they can get a little bit more rebounding underneath. 5 seconds. 5-second violation. So it'll go over to St. Joe's, a big turnover. It's a legitimate call. You know, the 5 seconds starts when the ball is not thrown but is inbounds. There's a long pass down the floor to Buckley. Oh,
and he'll take it. And we're tied at 19. Jimmy, I would think the team that gets hot is going to pull away quickly. Both teams were rather cold in this first half. Reisner trying to answer, won't go. Westrait's legs were taken out from under him by Blue.
Well, another one of those calls that I don't agree with, I have to say. Even though St. Joe's was the recipient of that call, it was a non-call situation. It was not any contact.
So it'll go over to East Brunswick. Davis, Reisner, three-point land. Won't go. Ratzka on a follow-up, yes.
And he had the position.
He's having a good game tonight. 21-19, the Bears. Blue bringing it up. Now he'll give it to Driscoll, who will set things up for the Falcons. Buckley across to Price. Inside to Powell, back out to Buckley. Moving the ball nicely.
Yeah, they worked well for that shot.
Tied at 21. Davis goes into the corner. Raska back to Davis.
Good patience. Both teams well-skilled, well-drilled.
East Brunswick moving it. Reisner now pulls back out.
This is like a chess game.
He'll drive. Force went up and hits.
And it was forced. Not the kind of shot you like in that situation, but nonetheless it falls.
23-21 East Brunswick. Blue can't control it.
A little miscommunication there. Blue thought that Price was going to handle it and vice versa. And that ever-present press.
Davis takes his time. Blue on top of him. Nice ball control by Davis. Westraight underneath to Reisner. Sets the screen, in and out. Blue pulls it down. Driscoll takes, I think, his first shot of the night.
It is.
Buckley works his way underneath, in and out. Blue on the follow-up. We're tied at 23.
Now, they could have fouled them underneath before the shot. Elected not to.
Raska hits.
Not much you can do about that.
Nope, at the key, turns around, puts it in. 25-23 East Brunswick. Davis on Driscoll.
He's already committed to the dribble.
St. Joe's looking a little disorganized. Blue had thoughts. Fertig on top of him. 4:20 left, third period. East Brunswick by 2, 25-23. Price won't go.
But St. Joe's rebounds.
Buckley on the follow, hits, and he's starting to get a little warm.
He has 6 of the 8 points that St. Joe's has in this quarter.
25 up. Reisner underneath the Raska. Foul by Buckley.
His first. And he wanted that one.
And he'll go to the line.
Stands about 3/4 filled right now.
He'll shoot 2. Makes it 26-25. Johnson will come in for Reisner. Second one a little short. So the Bears by 1, 3:50 left third period. Blue underneath to Buckley. Yes, and it looks like they're gonna go to Buckley. St. Joe's now by 1. Underneath to Westrate. Nice pass by Johnson. The Bears now by 1, and we're going back and forth here. Blue showing his quickness.
Raska fronting Buckley now. Inside.
Almost stolen by Johnson.
A lot of patience here.
Powell over to Blue. Takes the step. Pumps one up. 29-28, stolen by Buckley. St. Joe's by 1. Blue, three-pointer. Short. Westrate on the bound. Davis brings it up.
You know, that turnover aside by East Brunswick, the thing I note about this game, it's relatively mistake-free.
Nice play underneath by Westrate. And it'll go to St. Joe's. It's off Davis. Floric will come in for Driscoll for the Falcons.
And the crowd's now getting a little bit more involved in this game.
They're calling a foul on Davis, backcourt foul.
Well, it makes no difference in high school ball.
That's right, you're right.
And I believe that's East Brunswick's first foul of the quarter.
It is, Jim, second on Davis.
More wholesale changes here. Fertig takes a seat. So does
Forte
Davis.
will come in.
Forte and Reisner comes in.
Price to Floric. East Brunswick continues to press. Now they'll back off a bit. Price arcs one up there. Buckley for the rebound. Buckley's been all over the place this second half. I'm sorry, that's not Buckley, that's Matt Holzman, number 44. Forte showing some fancy ball handling. And St. Joe's really putting on the pressure. Reisner puts one up and hits.
St. Joe's did everything right during that sequence. Yet Reisner still got off the shot and scored. I'll tell you what, these are tough shots that are being put up.
It's 30-29, the Bears by 1 with 1:30 left third period. And Jimmy, this is some game.
Well, it's turning out to be that.
And they're matching baskets. Outstanding defense by both teams. Ooh, Floric almost took a step there inside. Holzman.
Could have called him for traveling.
Reisner. Forte. Looking. Makes the move. Dumps it off to Westrate.
And with a minute left, you wonder whether East Brunswick wants to hold.
Johnson, a little hesitant. Whoa, but he puts it up. Nice move.
And that's a fine move. It's some of the natural ability that Varnell Johnson has.
I thought he was going to stop a moment, but he continued to head to the, and he fouls.
And just in that brief sequence, you see what is good and what is not right with Varnell Johnson yet. He has such great natural ability. He puts up that shot, yet he gets so excited about it that he forgets where he is and he fouls.
Just to go back, I thought he was going to pull up on the shot and dump it off, but he proceeded to the basket. And a big basket it was, as it puts East Brunswick up by three.
Points, yeah.
32-29 with 35 seconds left here in the third period.
I don't think East Brunswick had more than a 2-point margin throughout the first half. So.
And overcame a 4-point lead by St. Joe's early in the second period. So East Brunswick playing outstanding basketball this evening. Inside 30 seconds. Johnson right on top of Driscoll. Good defense. Look at East Brunswick boxing.
Boy, they're crowding. They are crowding.
15 seconds. Floric looking for some help, gives it to Buckley.
Almost taken away by Weststraight.
Buckley will take it, keep it, 3 seconds, 2, he'll put it up.
And they're
Foul.
gonna call Beck on the call again, another one of those whistles.
Quarter's over. And when we come back for the 4th and final period, Buckley will go to the line.
They're gonna call Beck on the foul. And quite frankly, all I did is see his arms extended. That's it. No bodily contact.
Well, at the end of 3, it's East Brunswick 32, St. Joe's 29. Oh, and Buckley will shoot it. He's at the line. I don't understand this.
Well, it was a call made before the end of the quarter.
It's a 2-shot foul. So it'll be 32 to 30 at the end of that 3rd period.
Right, and again, defense played a very important role in that game. Both teams substituting liberally now. Blue was, Buckley was easily the player for St. Joe's. He came out with 4 baskets and then converted one of those 2 free throws. So he got 9 points after being scoreless in the first quarter. Team for East Brunswick, you see there, together. Henning imploring them. That's about all he can do at this point.
Yeah, Jimmy, you got to be impressed with the way they're playing tonight. I mean, they've played tough defense, despite the fact they were a little cold the first period from the floor. But they're in this game. They lead by 2, and after that first game between East Brunswick and St. Joe's, if you're Bo Henning, you got to be proud.
Right.
East Brunswick came in 9-3, St. Joe's 7-2, and these last 8 minutes are going to be exciting.
Neither team in any foul trouble. Powell has 2 for St. Joe's. Weststraight and Davis have 2 for East Brunswick.
St. Joe's will inbound to start the 4th period. Tenacious defense still being applied by East Brunswick.
Right, it's position defense is what it is. Neither team trying to give up anything on the floor. It's not a kind of that reaching out, stealing type.
Buckley on the drive is fouled, and I think they're going to call Fertig.
Yep.
Now the crowd's starting to get into it a little bit, particularly on the officiating. Second foul on Fertig. 3rd team foul for East Brunswick. Buckley cuts St. Joe's deficit by 1. And we're tied at 32. Fertig bringing it up. On the drive, right to the glass, and they're going to call travel.
I don't see how they could call it a travel. Oh, gosh.
Blue, and they're going to call Fertig.
Boy, the calls are not going East Brunswick's way here.
And he's got his 3rd personal.
4th team foul.
Now it's the 5th team foul,
Now
Jim.
wait a minute here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the 5th foul. It is the 5th team foul.
So that means Blue will go to the line 1-1. Tied at 32 with 7:24 left in the game.
This could be important. St. Joe's still only has 2 team fouls, so they have a lot more to give.
That's right. Blue makes it 33-32. Falcons go up by 1.
Right, and they've taken this lead by just shooting fouls.
Out. Westrate. He'll give it over to Fertig, and Fertig has 3 fouls. He's got to be careful. They need him. Johnson over to Raska, to Reisner. Reisner will drive and put it up, and he's fouled. Blue on the foul.
Mike has a unique ability to somehow look controlled in an uncontrolled situation. Because he drives, he's driving to his right, yet he seems to hang in the air.
It's not all that graceful, but it's effective. That's Blue's 2nd foul. So Reisner will go to the line. He'll shoot 2.
Important foul shots, needless to say.
Yes, hits net. Reisner puts the Bears on top by 1, 34-33.
Yeah, here we go again. Now East Brunswick has to be careful because any foul here is at least a one-on-one situation.
Underneath for Buckley, stolen by Westrate. Fertig bringing it up quickly.
I'd look for Reisner here. He seems to be the one that has the confident hand tonight.
Raska to Reisner. Fertig all by himself. Now he'll give it to Westrate. East Brunswick moving. Reisner takes a step, gives it to Fertig. Back to Davis, and they'll move it out again. Raska.
Boy, they're really fronting Reisner real.
Fertig. Nice move. We'll put it up off the rim. Price will bring it up and down for St. Joe's. Driscoll will set the motion. Bears by 1, 34-33, 5:55 left in the game. It's been back and forth since the first period. Blue outside, hits. 35-34, St. Joe's.
He has 18 points. He's far and away the leading scorer in this game.
Fertig. Raska will put it up. Off the rim. Buckley with the rebound. Stolen by Fertig. Off balance, won't go, and Driscoll pulls it down.
St. Joe's looking inside.
Underneath, Holzman knocked away by Westrate. And a nice play by Price.
Yeah, good follow-up. That's mark of a well-coached team. And
timeout East Brunswick as St. Joe's goes up by 3, 37-34.
Right, Henning just doesn't want, he realizes this is an important possession here for East Brunswick. With under 5 minutes to go, they're down by 3 points. They need to convert some points here. So he's probably going to use this opportunity to map out some plays. I think East Brunswick needs to stiffen up. St. Joe's has just been getting a couple of more opportunities underneath the basket in this half than they did in the first half. And they got to shut them down. Buckley's been open a lot.
Well, I think Bo Henning sensed a little change in momentum. And good time to call the timeout. Get everyone settled down. You got 4:56 left in the game. Make sure everyone knows their assignments, how they're going to play and handle the press. They're down by 3, but they were down by 4 early in the second period. Nothing they can't overcome, and with the three-point play, Jimmy, you're never out of it.
That's for sure, and East Brunswick certainly has the players that can shoot that three-pointer, Reisner and Fertig in particular.
East Brunswick comes out. It'll be Reisner, Fertig, Davis, Raska, and Westrate.
By the way, the possession arrows pointed towards East Brunswick's way.
Reisner inbounds, Fertig. Take a little more control of the ball this second half. To Reisner. Westrate underneath, looking for Raska, and they'll call it off St. Joe's.
That was the play. They were looking for Andy inside.
Fertig drives, dumps off to Davis. Shot, yes. East Brunswick trails by 1, 37-36.
Well, RJ hasn't shot often, but when he has, he's been accurate. And East Brunswick would like a turnover.
Blue to Price. Holzman now. Stolen by Raska, and they're going to call a foul on him.
Nope, they're going to call it on 44.
Oh, okay. It goes the other way this time against Holzman.
And I wanted to mention that East Brunswick is playing a man-to-man now.
Reisner right in front of us, inbounds to Davis. Knocked away. Good defensive play by Driscoll.
It was a great defensive play. A
Bears.
turnover at this point is important.
Bears trail by 1, 37-36 with 3:55 left in the game. Price.
Boy, tight defense.
Buckley by himself, off the iron, pulled down by Davis. Fertig, three-pointer,
Not
short.
close. Not the shot you wanted there. East Brunswick's only down by a point.
Price won't go. Buckley, and pulled down by Price. And Reisner's going to be called for the foul. Got a little sloppy there.
And I'd give Fertig a rest. I think he's somewhat frustrated right now.
Johnson coming in for Fertig.
Dave is scoreless in this half. He only has 5 points on the night. That's definitely below his 14-point average.
Price will go to the line.
And a big
Misses.
miss.
West
Big
Straight
miss.
with the rebound. St. Joe's by 1, 37-36.
And I would not be surprised to see Fertig inserted again.
Inside to West Straight. Tries the reverse layup, won't go. Good move though.
Boy, East Brunswick's getting its opportunities here.
3 minutes left in the game.
Man-to-man. Defense being applied by East Brunswick here with the possibility of a turnover.
Keep in mind, East Brunswick has 5 team fouls.
Farnell.
Johnson, nice hustle. Wait for the call. I think it's going to go timeout St. Joe's, but the ball should go back to St. Joe's when they come out.
And they're going to map out a little strategy here to probably cause East Brunswick to have to go after the ball. But Farnell Johnson almost came up with that steal, John.
Well, that's certainly the kind of hustle you want to have at this point of the game. 2:48 remaining as you look into the St. Joe's huddle. And Jimmy, I can't help but look at that face and remember that fellow right there in a St. Peter's high school uniform putting shot after shot in. He was the best pure shooter I ever saw in high school.
And he holds the single state scoring record. I don't know exactly what it is. I believe it's over 3,200 points. And interestingly, the only person that probably is going to challenge John for that is his daughter.
Yes, that's right.
Who is a sophomore at St. Peter's High School and is averaging about 28 points per game. John took some time off from coaching. He had been coaching St. Peter's for a number of years, and then he wanted some time to watch his daughter Kristen. John is a resident of Milltown right now, and feels though the coals were burning and he wanted to get back in the coaching reins. And here he is, and of course St. Joe's is the beneficiary of that.
All right, the ball will go over to St. Joe's. They lead by 1, 37-36. Stolen. Reisner to Johnson. He'll take it himself. Too hard.
No.
Driscoll on the rebound.
And they don't call a foul.
To Price. Reisner will be called for the foul, however.
No, they don't, John. There's no foul there either. Well, I think
Samoji can't believe it. Quite honestly, I can't believe it.
both sides, really.
Inside, St. Joe's, blue, Powell, they're going to call for travel.
Well, each change of possession here becomes crucial.
Substitution, Holzman will come in for Powell.
Right, you see Fertig being inserted as we thought he would.
Fertig comes back in, and so does one of our good friends. Phil Hill joins us.
We got a game, don't we?
Absolutely.
We have a good one, Phil. 37-36. St. Joe's by 1. 2:10 left in the game. Reisner puts it up. In and out. Buckley, rebound.
Well, one of those uncontrolled shots didn't fall.
Defense has been the name of the game this evening. Driscoll just standing, trying to set something up. 1:45 left in the game. St. Joe's by 1. They're going to wait for the best shot possible. Buckley on Westrate, or rather the other way around.
Well, you don't want to foul Buckley because he's been pretty good from the line.
East Brunswick has 5 team fouls.
There's the guy you might want to foul.
Price looking. 1:23 left in the game. Blue throws it away.
And it's going to be a backcourt violation.
It'll go over to the Bears with 1:13 left.
And you wonder if Henning might call a timeout here.
Well, you had the St. Joseph player there trying to
Timeout East Brunswick. Excuse me, Phil.
trying to get the Bears player to touch the ball and then grab it back before they call it backcourt. It didn't work that time, though.
Well, this has been a, Phil, just to fill you in,
Yes,
this has
please.
been a defensive struggle all the way. Both teams playing very tight. It hasn't been a type of defense that has caused turnovers. It's just been a position type of play where teams haven't been able to get off shots. And when they have, they've been really uncontrolled, and that's the result of the 37-36 score.
Just to give you an idea, Phil, at the end of the first quarter, it was 9-8 St. Joe's. The end of the second quarter, East Brunswick ahead 19-17. End of the third quarter, East Brunswick ahead 32-30. So no more than 2 points have separated these teams.
So each possession is very crucial.
Well, I got to believe these teams know a little bit more about each other than they did the very first time they met. So they're playing better all the way around. But I got to believe the second half things may open up one way or another.
All right, East Brunswick will have it. Reisner
And
from their own end.
watch Andy Raska here.
Underneath Westrate. Oh, it won't go. Buckley on the rebound. Westrate is hit.
He got
He's
an elbow
down.
in the nose.
Goes down.
And the officials will call time.
He called an elbow in the nose, and that's really
And
got to start.
Samoji is like livid over on the side.
I think Smoji is livid because they stopped the play. They stopped the play, and the St. Joe's team was about to, what he figured was about to score, and he didn't figure it should have been stopped.
I'm not so sure they would have scored on that one. But he was climbing the stands. I wish we could have had a shot at that one.
You see John much more composed than he was a few seconds ago.
I almost thought that $150 suit was going to get ripped.
Let me set the stage. 1:06 remains in the game. The Bears trail by 1, 37-36.
Under a minute, John. And East Brunswick might have to foul.
Driscoll, oh, Johnson almost on a steal.
Wow, a smothering man-to-man
They're
defense.
telling
what it
Davis to
is.
foul Driscoll.
They've resorted to the man-to-man just recently.
Raska on top of Buckley, and they call the foul on Raska.
And I'll tell you what, that wasn't the guy to foul. Really wasn't.
It wasn't.
Buckley is the one that's been hitting.
It may not have been the guy to foul, Jimmy. And I tell you, considering how tight this game has been played, it is sort of might have been a touchy foul.
Really. A couple of non-calls made tonight and a couple of calls that shouldn't have been made. But in any event, East Brunswick does have the three-point opportunities with Reisner and Fertig, so at the best, they're going to get themselves an opportunity to tie the game.
Buckley goes to the line, and the crowd comes to life. And it falls in. 38-36, St. Joe's.
And I don't know what their average from the free throw line is, but for a John Samoji coach team, you would expect they'd be good free throw shooters.
They've only missed 4 times tonight.
Buckley puts the Falcons up by 3 and timeout, St. Joe's.
I'll take that back. They've only missed 3 times, and they've converted on 10. So they've been 10 for 13. Victor Blue is the leading scorer for St. Joe's, but he's been rather silent for the last, I guess, quarter. Hasn't really been in too much of the scoring. Buckley's the one who's taken over. He has, let's see, he's got, I believe, 4 field goals, 5 for 6 from the line. So that's 13, and it's all coming from in the second half.
Well, Jim, I noticed you got no scoring for Jim Feeney, and Feeney in the last game was the leading scorer for St. Joseph's.
Right, and he, as we mentioned up top, is recovering from the chickenpox.
Oh, wow.
And wasn't available. And also Reed Jackson, another important player, was seen hobbling on crutches. So this is a team, a St. Joe's team, that is really at a disadvantage, yet playing well.
And now we got a little shouting match going on between the students of the respective schools.
They've always been boisterous when these teams meet, and I'll tell you about my most memorable moment with St. Joseph's later on.
Anyway, East Brunswick will have it.
During
44
overtime.
seconds.
Right, Phil? During overtime.
I'll tell you.
Here we go. You've got to think it's going to be a 3-point shot from either Fertig or Reisner. East Brunswick trails by 3 with 35 seconds left in the game. Fertig, they're trying to free Reisner. Or Fertig. He'll take it, Fertig. No, it won't go off the rim. No foul call.
No foul.
20 seconds, and Raska fouls Blue.
And I believe that's Andy's second foul.
And Jim, I was saying this crowd has always been boisterous. Anytime St. Joe's and East Brunswick gets together, I can't recall the guy's player. Larry
Bornheimer?
Larry Bornheimer. And we remember clearly the crowd saying, "What's the matter with Larry?" when he was off. And they were going at it back and forth. The kid that lived in East Brunswick and played for St. Joseph's.
Blue increases St. Joe's lead to 4.
That was a big bucket
That
there.
was.
And East Brunswick's going to need a miracle now because they're beyond that. They need 2 possessions with 21 seconds to go.
Blue puts St. Joe's now by 5. Davis.
Got to get down and score twice.
You need some help. Time's running off the clock. Timeout, East Brunswick.
Good timeout, good heads-up timeout by Reisner there.
Well, perhaps a little too late, though. You're down by 5 with 12 seconds to go. You need a quick 3-pointer, and then you got to get the steal.
Jim, they're in the game. I think what they want to do is score here and close the gap before the half. That's all. They're in the game.
You know, one time, Phil, we were making an observation that East Brunswick had 2 sophomores and 3 juniors on the floor. You had Varnell Johnson, Pete Forte at the guards. You had Reisner, and I believe Dave Beck and Andy Raska were at the other 3 forwards.
And I'll tell you, that's what makes for a program. Development of younger players and give them the chance to play on the varsity level early. And that's why East Brunswick will be good for years to come, Jim.
Yes.
All right, 12 seconds remain. East Brunswick trails by 5, 36-41. They will have the ball in their half of the court, and that's what they want. They need to set up that 3-point shot. That's all the real hope they have at this juncture of the game. Reisner, he's got to get it in. He does. Davis, 10 seconds. Underneath, Fertig. He'll go to the basket, and they'll let him go, and he comes up short with the layup. 3 seconds.
And they
foul by Fertig.
And that's going to do it. I see what the strategy was. They were going to look for the 3-point play, and if they weren't able to get the 2 this time around and hope for a steal and a 3-point in the next
Well,
game.
they look. What happened there, Jim? You're right. They were looking for the 3-point play originally, and then they decided to take the traditional 3-point play. Whereas Fertig trying to draw the foul, doing a finger roll there, and not drawing a simple layup there, and they didn't get the points they needed.
Well,
Buckley will go to the line. It's all moot at this point.
Right, nice win for the Falcons. You have to admit, they came in here without Jackson or Feeney and played East Brunswick on its home court. And East Brunswick, they had a down game against Piscataway in a loss. And they're a team that's still learning. They really are. And I think this just slows down Bo Henning's program. They still want to build momentum.
We have 2 seconds to the game.
That's
and
it.
Not the half.
That's it.
Oh, mercy.
Reisner And that'll do it. The final here, St. Joe's 43, East Brunswick 36. And what can you say? East Brunswick played them tough until the last 2 minutes of the game, basically. East Brunswick will go to 9-4. St. Joe's will improve to 8-2. As you see the teams congratulate one another.
That's right, 9-4 for East Brunswick. And they're going to have to go back to the chalkboard and learn from this experience. I think St. Joe's is a well-coached team, as John Smoji teams are. And they gave East Brunswick a little bit of lesson on how to apply pressure and how to withstand pressure. And that's exactly what the Bears want to be able to do as they approach tournament time. You're shocked, aren't you, Phil? You thought this was him.
I'm shocked because I came in here,
This is the type of defense that was played tonight.
I know if you looked at the score, you would think it was halftime.
I came in here rushing. The fact of the matter, I would have been here sooner. My driver was a little reluctant to let the helicopter down on the field and found out Charlie King was the principal here, so I got here a little late. But I tell you, we talk a lot about Smoji, and I know you've done, and Smoji, what can you say? The all-time leading scorer for the state of New Jersey, has coached everywhere and done well, but you got to remember, Bo knows basketball too, and Bo Henning will have this East Brunswick team back in the thick of things.
Phil, that line was worth you coming. Really.
And the GMCs, I'm sure they may have one more shot at it.
Well, in the tournament, you
yes,
mean?
In the tournament.
Sure. Yeah, East Brunswick. I was talking with a couple of people, and I was thinking that the top 5 teams in the county, you have to figure Perth Amboy, St. Joe's, St. Peter's, South River, and East Brunswick, and then maybe the rest of the county after that. Can't think of too many other teams that are going to. So you got to figure the county champion is going to come from those 5, and depending on what team develops, is the one that's going to come out on top.
Well, we'll close out from the East Brunswick High School gym, where again the Falcons stood up to East Brunswick, held on, and actually moved ahead in the fourth quarter to hold on for the win. Again, St. Joe's 43, East Brunswick 36. East Brunswick will now move on to play Madison Central
I believe we're going to televise that game.
Could be. But anyway, we'll be back with more East Brunswick High School basketball as the season progresses. So for Phil Hill, who arrived a little late, and Jim Allinder, this is John Meggiolaro saying thanks for being with us.